Emma didn't sleep. Not because the bed in Alexander Stone's penthouse wasn't soft enough. It was too soft, too quiet, too expensive. The kind of comfort that felt like a trap. The kind of silence that made your thoughts loud enough to bruise you. She kept hearing his voice from the night before. Plain enough that you won't feel threatened. Desperate enough to do anything I want. The words replayed with cruel precision, like someone had carved them into the inside of her skull. Emma had cried until her throat burned, then stared at the ceiling until dawn, and somewhere between anger and exhaustion, something inside her changed shape. Not a breakdown, a decision. By morning, she stopped asking herself why he was like this. She started asking how. How did men like Alexander walk into rooms and bend people to their will without raising their voices? How did Vanessa Hartford still own space she wasn't even standing in yet? How did Marcus Lee look at her like he saw the bruises she hadn't admitted to? And the most dangerous question of all, how did Emma become someone they couldn't ignore? She stood in front of the bathroom mirror as the first light touched the glass towers outside, her face pale, her eyes rimmed with a sleepless edge. She didn't look broken, not even close. She looked focused. She splashed water on her face, leaned in, and spoke softly to her reflection. "Don't flinch." Her voice sounded steadier than she felt. She tried to imagine the gala, tried to imagine Vanessa walking in, tried to imagine Alexander smiling for cameras like a man who hadn't purchased a human being to play pretend. Her stomach twisted, but she didn't step back. She had signed a contract to save her mother. She had sold 1 year of her life for time, but the contract hadn't mentioned dignity. It hadn't said what to do when someone tried to strip it from you. A knock sounded at the door. A stylist arrived with garment bags and calm, practiced hands. 2 assistants followed, setting down makeup cases like they were placing weapons on a table. Emma watched the move around her like she was a mannequin. She let them. She listened. She learned. The stylist held up a dress first. Soft champagne, delicate, safe. This was selected based on Mr. Stone's preferences, the stylist said carefully, like she'd been trained to avoid stepping on landmines. Emma stared at the dress and felt something cold settle behind her ribs. "No," she said. The stylist blinked. "Excuse me." Emma looked at the garment bag again and then at the stylist. "That dress makes me look like an apology." One of the assistants swallowed. The stylist kept her composure. "Mr. Stone expects." "I know what he expects," Emma said, calm enough to frighten herself. "But I'm not going to the gala as a shadow." She walked past them toward the closet. Marcus had said a wardrobe would be prepared. She hadn't looked through it last night. She hadn't wanted to. Now she opened the door slowly. Rows of designer pieces stared back at her like a new identity. Dresses in jewel tones, structured blazers, heels that looked like they could cut skin. Everything tailored to her body, like the closet had studied her in secret. Emma ran her fingers over the fabrics, feeling the smooth arrogance of wealth. Somewhere in the back, she found it. Black velvet, backless, elegant, not loud, not soft. The kind of dress that didn't beg to be seen. The kind of dress that assumed you were already looking. The stylist inhaled sharply behind her. "That one wasn't." "It fits," Emma said simply. The stylist hesitated. Emma could almost see the battle in her eyes. Job security versus professional instinct. Then slowly she nodded. "All right," she said. "If you want that, we can make it perfect." Emma didn't say thank you. She didn't say please. She just stood still as hands adjusted and pinned and brushed. While they worked, Emma listened to the tiny sounds, the click of makeup palettes, the zip of a garment bag, the soft whispers between assistants. She wondered how many women had sat in this chair before her, being built into someone else's vision. Then she thought of her mother. the way her mother's hands had looked last time. Too thin, too tired, still trying to be comforting. Emma swallowed hard. She could not afford to fall apart today. She could not afford to walk into that room and look like a girl who could be crushed with a glance. When the stylist finished her hair, Emma stood. A wave of brown framed her face. Makeup softened her exhaustion without turning her into someone else. Her lips were muted rose, subtle, controlled. She turned toward the mirror. For a second, she didn't recognize herself. Not because she looked richer, because she looked dangerous. Not the loud kind of danger, the quiet kind. The kind you only notice after you've already underestimated it. A presence. A knock sounded again. This time it wasn't the stylist assistant. It was heavier. Emma's pulse didn't change, but her skin knew. Alexander. The door opened. He stepped in wearing a tailored dark suit. Hair perfect, expression neutral. He looked like a man walking into a board meeting, not a gala. Like he was already bored by the night ahead. Then he saw her. He stopped. Just for a half second. But Emma saw it. The tiny pause. The recalculation in his eyes. The fraction of surprise he didn't want anyone to witness. His gaze moved over her slowly, like he was assessing damage. "This isn't the dress we discussed," he said. His tone was flat, controlled. Emma turned to face him fully. "This is the dress your wife is wearing." A quiet stretch of air sat between them. "You're representing my image tonight," he said. Emma stepped closer, slowly, deliberately. Close enough that she could smell his cologne. Expensive, clean, almost cruel. "Then you should be grateful," she said softly. "I look unforgettable." His jaw tightened. For a moment, Emma wondered if he would explode. Not with anger. Alexander didn't explode. He froze people out. He punished with silence. He broke things without raising his voice. But he didn't speak immediately. And that, to Emma, felt like victory. Finally, he looked away as if she wasn't worth the time. "Don't embarrass me." Emma smiled faintly. "I wouldn't dream of it." He turned to leave, then paused near the doorway. "One rule," he said. Emma tilted her head. "Only one." His eyes flicked to hers. Cold. "Do not speak to Vanessa unless spoken to." Emma kept her expression smooth. "And if she speaks to me?" "Smile," he said. "Be polite. Don't provoke." Emma's smile deepened, almost sweet. Of course. Alexander studied her for a long moment, like he was trying to figure out if she was lying. He didn't get an answer he liked. He left. As soon as the door shut, the stylist exhaled like she'd been holding her breath. "He's intense." Emma stared at the mirror again, the velvet dark against her skin. "He's not intense," she said quietly. "He's afraid." The stylist didn't respond. Assistants avoided her gaze. Emma didn't care, because somewhere inside her, something was steady now. The car ride to the gala was quiet. Alexander sat beside her in the back seat, scrolling on his phone like she wasn't there. His posture was perfect. His silence was a wall. Emma watched the city lights slide by outside, watching reflections flash over Alexander's face, and she wondered how a man could be so controlled and so reckless at the same time. He was willing to buy a wife, but he wasn't willing to look at her. When the car stopped, Emma saw the entrance ahead. Cameras, security, valet lines, river of glittering people flowing into the building like the world was a private club. Alexander's phone went away. He turned toward Emma for the first time in 20 minutes. "Remember," he said, "we're happy." Emma met his gaze. "Happy doesn't look like you ignoring your wife." His eyes narrowed. "Don't start." Emma leaned in slightly, voice soft enough that only he could hear. "Then don't give me a reason." His jaw flexed. For 1 second, Emma saw it. Pure irritation mixed with something else. Uncertainty. Alexander opened the car door and stepped out first. The cold night air hit Emma's skin. The noise of cameras washed over them like rain. He offered his arm. A perfect gesture. A public claim. Emma slid her hand through his arm and stepped out. Flashes exploded. People turned. Emma lifted her chin. If she was going to be judged, she would be judged standing tall. They walked in together, and as soon as they crossed the threshold into the ballroom, Emma felt the shift. Not the music, not the lights, the attention. It slid over them like a blade. Whispers followed. Who is she? When did he marry? Is it real? Is she pregnant? Is it PR? Emma kept her face calm. Inside, her heart was steady and hard. She wasn't a girl walking into a room. She was a message. Alexander's hand moved to the small of her back. Possessive, practiced. For the cameras, it looked intimate. For Emma, it felt like a warning. She leaned in just enough, smiling when people looked, playing the role too perfectly. If Alexander wanted a performance, she'd give him one. Better than he expected. They moved through clusters of wealthy donors and executives. Emma shook hands, accepted compliments, listened to empty laughter. She watched people's eyes, watched how they looked at Alexander with admiration and fear. Then she noticed something else. Some men looked at Emma twice. Some women looked at Emma like she was an insult. Emma understood. She wasn't just Alexander's wife. She was a disruption. And then the room changed. Not the music, not the lights, the temperature. A hush passed through the crowd like an invisible ripple. Emma knew before she saw. Vanessa Hartford had arrived. Emma turned slowly, and there she was. Black silk, emeralds, hair like expensive sunlight. Vanessa moved like she owned the air. And Emma felt Alexander's body tense beside her. Just slightly, but she felt it. Emma didn't look away, because she was done shrinking. Vanessa's gaze locked onto Alexander first. A smile touched her lips, familiar, confident. Then her eyes slid to Emma, and stayed. Emma felt the weight of it, comparison, dismissal, curiosity. Vanessa walked toward them. The space around her cleared, like people didn't want to be caught in the gravity. When she reached them, she spoke like she was greeting an old friend. "Alexander," Vanessa said smoothly, "you didn't tell me you were married." Alexander smiled, controlled. Things happened quickly. Vanessa's eyes flicked back to Emma. They certainly do. Emma extended her hand first. "Emma Stone," she said, "his wife." Vanessa took her hand with a light grip. A pleasure. Emma leaned in slightly, voice low and intimate. "I've heard so much about you." For the briefest moment, Vanessa froze. Not fear, recognition. And Emma knew. The war had begun. Vanessa's smile returned almost instantly, flawless as polished glass. If Emma hadn't been watching so closely, she would have missed that tiny stutter of surprise. The microsecond where Vanessa realized Emma wasn't going to behave like a frightened replacement. Alexander's hand stayed at Emma's back. A possession, a performance, a warning. Vanessa's eyes flicked to it, then back to Emma. "Well," Vanessa said softly, "you're stunning." The compliment sounded like a blade wrapped in silk. Emma smiled. "Thank you. I dressed for the occasion." Vanessa's gaze dipped to the velvet, then lifted again. "It suits you." Alexander's voice cut in, calm and cold. "Vanessa, you remember Marcus Lee." Marcus stepped forward smoothly, expression neutral behind his glasses. "Miss Hartford." Vanessa's smile brightened, but her eyes didn't. "Marcus. Always reliable." Marcus nodded once. As always, Emma felt the tension like a wire stretched too tight. The kind of tension that didn't snap loudly, it cut silently. Vanessa tilted her head slightly, studying Emma like she was a painting on auction night. "So tell me, Emma, how did you meet Alexander?" Emma didn't blink. She could feel Alexander's attention sharpen. This was the question, the trap. The moment Vanessa would test a lie, Emma could have stumbled, could have played the shy new wife. Instead, she leaned in, just a fraction. "You spilled something expensive," Emma said smoothly. "I refused to apologize properly." Vanessa's lips parted in a small laugh. "That sounds like him." Emma held her gaze. "And it sounds like me." The pause that followed was delicious. Vanessa's smile tightened in a way only women like Vanessa could manage. Still beautiful, still polite, still dangerous. "How refreshing," she murmured. Alexander's voice remained calm, but Emma sensed a warning underneath it. "We should greet the donors." Vanessa stepped back. "Of course. Enjoy your night." She turned away, but not before her eyes flicked to Emma one last time. A look that said, "I'll speak to you again. And next time, it won't be polite." As Vanessa disappeared into the crowd, Emma felt Alexander's hand press into her back harder than necessary. "What was that?" he asked under his breath. Emma kept smiling at a passing couple. "A conversation. You're not here to spar." "I'm not," Emma said sweetly, still smiling at strangers. "Then why did you bring me to meet the woman you're trying to punish?" Alexander's jaw tightened. "Don't push me." Emma's smile didn't change. "Don't pull me into a war and expect me to be unarmed." They moved forward, greeting people. Emma listened to compliments that felt like inspections. "You're more beautiful than the photos." "You must be very patient with him." "I didn't know Alexander could commit to anything." Emma laughed softly at the right times. She watched Alexander's posture remain flawless, every gesture measured, every word strategically placed. But she also watched his eyes. Every few minutes, his gaze drifted to Vanessa. Not longing, something else. Possession, control, like he needed to make sure she was seeing him. Emma understood the game now. This wasn't just about winning Vanessa back. It was about making Vanessa regret leaving. And Emma was the evidence Alexander planned to use in court. She moved with him through the ballroom, cameras catching them in perfect angles. Alexander's hand remained at her waist, his smile appearing when needed and vanishing when not. The crowd believed the story. A whirlwind romance. A billionaire tamed. If Emma hadn't heard that phone call, she might have believed it too. A waiter passed with champagne. Emma took a glass. Not because she needed it, because it gave her something to do with her hands. She excused herself a few minutes later, slipping away toward the bar. Not to hide, to breathe. She could feel eyes on her. People watched her like she was a rumor with a heartbeat. Behind her, laughter rose. Music swelled. And then she heard it. Vanessa's voice, low, intimate, close enough to slice. "So this is the replacement?" Emma's fingers tightened slightly around the champagne stem. She didn't turn immediately. She listened. A pause. Alexander's silence. That silence answered more brutally than words ever could. Emma felt heat rise behind her eyes. Not tears, not weakness. Rage. The kind that made your body feel too small to contain it. She turned slowly. Vanessa stood with two women beside her, smiling like she'd said nothing cruel at all. Alexander was there too, facing Vanessa. Emma watched Alexander's mouth part like he might speak. He didn't. Emma crossed the distance with calm grace, her heels steady, her posture elegant. She placed a champagne glass into Alexander's hand like a wife caring for her husband. The gesture was perfect. The message was sharper. "You must be Vanessa," Emma said lightly. "Alexander talks about you like a lesson he never quite learned." Vanessa's friends went silent. Alexander's eyes cut to Emma. Vanessa's smile held. "Excuse me." Emma's tone stayed warm. "Oh, nothing unkind. Just that some loves exist to teach us what we deserve next." Vanessa's eyes narrowed slightly. "How charming." Emma took a slow sip of champagne. "You should stay close tonight. It's always interesting meeting the woman who thinks she still owns the past." Vanessa laughed, soft and controlled. "Enjoy your arrangement." Arrangement. Emma didn't react. Vanessa turned away, but her friends leaned closer to whisper. Emma caught fragments. He married her to make Vanessa jealous. She looks different. She doesn't seem intimidated. Emma kept her face smooth. Inside, she felt alive. Alexander leaned closer, his voice barely audible. "What are you doing?" Emma smiled toward a camera she hadn't noticed. "Being your wife." He pulled her slightly away from the group, guiding her toward a quieter corner near a large floral arrangement. To the crowd it looked protective. To Emma it felt like a threat. "What's your problem?" he asked low. "My problem," Emma said softly, "is that you thought you could humiliate me in private and use me in public, and I just accept it." Alexander's eyes were ice. "You signed a contract." "I did," Emma replied, calm. "And you signed one too." His gaze sharpened. "Meaning?" Emma leaned closer. "Meaning you bought a wife to display, not a servant to silence." Alexander's jaw flexed. "You're crossing a line," he whispered. Emma's smile turned faintly dangerous. "I'm learning where it is." He stared at her. The room moved around them, laughter and music, and wealth swirling like a storm. Then Alexander's expression shifted. So quickly most people wouldn't see it. But Emma did. A flicker of uncertainty. He didn't expect her to fight back. And something about that made her chest tighten. Not fear. Power. They returned to the crowd. Emma let Alexander guide her through more greetings, more smiles, more staged intimacy. But now she was watching Vanessa too. Vanessa moved like a queen among admirers, laughing, touching shoulders lightly, never staying in one place long. And every time Vanessa glanced at Emma, there was calculation in her eyes. Not jealousy yet. Assessment. The kind of look you give an opponent before deciding how to destroy them. Emma realized Vanessa wasn't the type to fight openly. Vanessa fought by controlling the room, by owning the narrative, by making you feel out of place until you shrank yourself without being told. Emma felt a chill. Then her gaze found Marcus. He stood near the edge of a conversation circle, drink untouched, watching, not like a friend, like a guard. When Emma's eyes met his, Marcus didn't smile. He looked concerned, a warning without words. Emma's stomach tightened. She looked back toward Vanessa. Vanessa was speaking to someone important, an older woman in an expensive gown with a sharp posture. The woman glanced toward Emma with cold curiosity. Emma knew that look, the look of someone deciding whether you're acceptable. Vanessa's lips moved closer to the woman's ear. The woman's eyes narrowed. Emma felt it in her bones. Vanessa was planting seeds, and seeds in rooms like this grew into weapons. Emma forced her breathing slow. If Vanessa wanted to turn the room against her, then Emma would have to do what she'd avoided her entire life. Perform. Not as a liar, as a strategist. The announcer called for donations, for speeches, for applause. Cameras panned across the ballroom. People raised glasses. Alexander stood beside Emma, and his hand slid back to her waist. His voice was low. "You're going to behave now." Emma tilted her head slightly. "Or what?" Alexander's smile stayed presentable, but his eyes chilled. or you'll learn what breaking the contract costs. Emma's heart thudded, not because she feared him, because she believed him. Alexander didn't have to hit you to hurt you. He could end the contract early, cancel the payments, turn the world against her, and worst of all, he could cut off her mother's care. Emma kept her smile intact. Her voice stayed gentle. You can't afford to send me away. Alexander's gaze snapped to hers. Careful. Emma leaned closer, a whisper only he could hear, because then Vanessa would know you failed. For a second, Alexander didn't breathe. Then his smile returned, razor thin. You're smarter than I expected. Emma's smile didn't change. And you're more predictable than you think. The band shifted into a slower song. Couples began moving to the dance floor. Emma watched Vanessa from across the room. Vanessa's gaze met hers. A smile touched Vanessa's lips. A challenge. And then Vanessa did something small, almost invisible. She looked away from Emma and looked toward Alexander. Like Emma wasn't worth her attention anymore. Emma's chest tightened. That dismissal hit harder than the insults, because it was the kind of dismissal Alexander had used on her from day one. Emma felt her body heat. Before she could move, Alexander's hand closed around her wrist. We're dancing, he said. It wasn't a request. Emma stared at his hand on her skin. Then she lifted her eyes to his face. Do you want to dance? She asked softly. Or do you want an audience? Alexander's eyes narrowed. Emma stepped closer anyway, because if it's an audience, then let's give them a show. They moved onto the dance floor. The room watched. Emma felt it, a tension like electricity. Alexander's hand settled at her waist. Emma placed her hand on his shoulder. Their bodies aligned perfectly, too perfectly. And when the music carried them into motion, Emma leaned in slightly and whispered, smile. Alexander's jaw tightened, but he smiled for the cameras. Emma smiled too, because now she knew. This wasn't just a dance. It was a battle. The first slow turn felt like stepping into a spotlight that could burn. Emma could feel people staring, could feel the silent commentary moving through the room like smoke. The new wife. The bought wife, the contract wife. No one knew the truth, but rooms like this always sensed when something wasn't pure. Alexander's grip at her waist was firm, controlled, almost possessive. To the audience, it looked protective. To Emma, it was a leash. His voice dropped, low enough that only she could hear. What are you trying to prove? Emma met his eyes, steady. That you don't own my humiliation. Alexander's smile stayed perfect for the crowd, but his eyes hardened. You forget who you're dealing with. Emma's lips curved slightly. No, I'm finally remembering. They moved in slow, deliberate patterns. Alexander guided, precise and dominant, as if he had memorized the correct distance to keep a woman close without looking like he needed her. Emma let him lead, not because she submitted, because she was watching him, watching every micro-reaction, every tightening of his jaw, every slight shift when Vanessa's laughter floated across the room. Emma leaned in, her voice warm. Do you always hold your wife like she's a business asset? Alexander's eyes cut to hers. Don't start. I'm just curious, Emma murmured, tone teasing enough to sound harmless to anyone listening. Do you touch Vanessa like this too? His hand tightened at her waist. That was answer enough. Emma felt her pulse rise, not panic, not fear. Something sharper. Alexander's voice remained calm. You think humiliating her will help you? Emma's gaze flicked toward Vanessa, who stood at the edge of the dance floor with a glass in hand, watching. Vanessa's expression was composed, but her eyes were alert. Emma leaned closer to Alexander, voice a whisper. I think you're terrified she'll look at me and realize you moved on. Alexander's breathing changed, just slightly. Emma felt it, a faint disruption in the rhythm of his control. "You're nothing like her," he said, soft and cold. Emma didn't flinch. She brought her lips closer to his ear, close enough that her breath touched his skin. "That's why this hurts," she whispered. For 1 second, just one, Alexander's control slipped. His inhale caught. It was the smallest crack in a man built of steel. But Emma felt it like thunder. She pulled back slightly, keeping her smile in place for the watchers, as if she'd simply said something sweet. Alexander's gaze searched her face, like he didn't know who she was anymore. Emma's heart pounded, but her voice stayed smooth. "You can't handle it, can you?" Alexander's jaw flexed. "Handle what?" Emma tilted her head, feigning innocence. "A wife who doesn't beg." The song ended. Applause rose lightly, polite. Rich people applause that meant nothing and everything. Emma stepped back first, a subtle act of defiance. Alexander's hand hovered as if he wanted to pull her closer again, then stopped, as though he caught himself. Emma saw it. He wanted to touch her, not for the cameras, for himself. The realization sent a cold thrill through her chest. Because it wasn't love. It was possession shifting shape. Emma turned away smoothly, leaving Alexander standing there, composed in public, fractured in private. She walked toward the ladies' room with measured steps, refusing to rush even though adrenaline surged under her skin. Inside, the marble was pale and expensive. Women adjusted lipstick in mirrors like war paint. Laughter bounced off polished surfaces. Emma stepped into a stall just to breathe. Her hands trembled slightly. Not because she was weak, because she was holding back storm. She closed her eyes and let herself feel the truth. She had power tonight. For the first time since she signed that contract, she wasn't just being moved. She was moving pieces. She emerged and washed her hands, staring at her reflection. "Your mother is alive because of this. Your mother is alive because you agreed to be used." The thought sliced through her victory. Her mother's face flashed in her mind, thin, brave, smiling through pain. Emma swallowed hard. This wasn't a game. If she pushed too hard, Alexander could punish her through the one thing she couldn't protect alone. Emma dried her hand slowly, and that's when she heard heels. Deliberate, unhurried. Emma lifted her gaze. Vanessa Hartford stepped into the ladies' room like she owned it. The women at the mirrors immediately made space, without being asked. Vanessa approached the sink beside Emma, smoothing her hair as if they were two friends sharing a moment. Emma didn't move. Vanessa looked at Emma's reflection instead of her directly. "You're brave." Emma's expression remained calm. "And you're bored." Vanessa smiled faintly. Not bored. Curious. Emma's eyes stayed on the mirror. Curious about what? Vanessa leaned slightly closer, voice low. About how far a desperate woman will go when she thinks she's winning. Emma felt a flare of anger, but she kept her face smooth. "You don't know me." Vanessa's eyes glittered. "Oh, I know enough. You're not from our world. Your posture says you're learning, but your eyes say you're still shocked by the way we cut." Emma turned her head slightly, meeting Vanessa's gaze in the mirror. "And you're still shocked that I'm not bleeding." Vanessa's smile widened, dangerous. "It's early." Emma's heartbeat stayed steady. "Why are you here, Vanessa?" Vanessa picked up her lipstick, applied it with careful precision, then capped it with a soft click. "To see you up close," she said. "To understand what Alexander chose to place beside himself." Emma's tone stayed calm. "He didn't choose me." Vanessa paused, then glanced at Emma. "You think I don't know that?" Emma's throat tightened. "Then why are you acting like this is about romance?" Vanessa's expression softened, almost pitying. "Because it's never about romance, Emma." Emma felt cold creep along her spine. Vanessa leaned in just enough that her perfume brushed the air between them. It's about power, about reputation, about who wins the story. Emma's eyes narrowed. And you think you're the hero. Vanessa laughed quietly. There are no heroes in rooms like this. Then Vanessa's voice lowered further. Tell me something, Emma. Does he sleep in your bed yet? Emma's stomach twisted, but she didn't blink. No. Vanessa hummed. Good. That means he's still pretending. Emma's jaw tightened. Pretending what? Vanessa's eyes held hers. That he can control who he wants. A long pause. Then Vanessa turned away from the mirror and walked toward the door. Before she left, she glanced back. Enjoy the attention tonight, she said softly. It won't last. By morning, everyone will know exactly what you are. The door closed. Emma stood frozen for a moment, anger simmering, mind racing. Everyone will know. Emma understood immediately. Vanessa was going to poison the room, turn the gala into gossip, turn Emma into a scandal. Emma left the ladies' room with her pulse steady and her plan forming. She found Marcus near the edge of the ballroom, still watching like a man guarding a disaster. When Marcus saw her, his eyes tightened slightly. You spoke to Vanessa. Emma didn't bother denying it. She spoke to me. Marcus exhaled. She's dangerous. Emma's voice stayed quiet. So is your boss. Marcus's jaw flexed. Vanessa doesn't fight fair. Emma's eyes held his. Neither do I anymore. Marcus hesitated, then leaned closer. She's already making calls. Emma's stomach dropped. Calls to who? People who decide reputations. Marcus said. Sponsors, donors, board members, wives with influence. Emma's mouth went dry. Marcus continued, voice urgent but controlled. If she frames you as a mistake, they'll treat you like a mistake. Emma felt a cold anger surge. And Alexander will let them? Marcus's eyes flicked toward Alexander, who stood across the room, speaking with a group of powerful men, smiling perfectly, unaware or pretending to be unaware. Marcus looked back at Emma. Alexander will do what benefits Alexander. The truth landed like a slap. Emma's mother needed the treatment. Emma needed the contract. And Alexander was still capable of destroying her without touching her. Emma whispered, "What do I do?" Marcus's gaze held hers. "You don't run." Emma's breath caught. Marcus continued, voice lower. "You make them choose you." Emma stared at him. "How?" Marcus's eyes flicked to Alexander again. "You make the room believe he wants you." Emma swallowed hard. That was dangerous. That meant leaning into intimacy, not away from it. That meant stepping into the illusion, so hard it became truth in the eyes of everyone watching. Emma's pulse hammered. Then she nodded once. "Okay," she said quietly. "Then we give them a story they can't ignore." Marcus's expression softened slightly, concern mixed with admiration. "Be careful." Emma's smile was faint. "I always am." She moved back into the crowd with purpose, and as she walked, she felt it. Vanessa's eyes on her again, watching, waiting. Emma lifted her chin. If Vanessa wanted war, Emma would give her something worse, a reason to fear. Emma crossed the ballroom slowly, deliberately, like she had all the time in the world. She could feel the room responding, the subtle turning of heads, the curiosity sharpening. She wasn't just Alexander's wife anymore. She was a question, and people hated unanswered questions. She found Alexander near the auction display, speaking to a group of men in dark suits. He looked composed, controlled, untouchable, a king among sharks. Emma stepped up beside him without asking permission. Alexander's gaze flicked to her, quick warning. Emma ignored it. She slipped her hand around his arm, intimate enough to look genuine. Her fingers pressed lightly against the sleeve. Alexander's sentence faltered for half a beat. The men noticed. Emma smiled at them, warm and polished. "I'm stealing him for a moment." One of the men chuckled. "Lucky man." Emma's smile didn't change. "He knows." Alexander's jaw tightened slightly, but he allowed Emma to guide him away. To the crowd, it looked like a wife pulling her husband into a private moment. To Alexander, it was a challenge. Once they reached a quieter space near the tall windows, Alexander leaned in. "What are you doing?" he hissed under his breath. Emma's eyes stayed calm. "Saving myself." Alexander's gaze sharpened. "This isn't your world." Emma's lips curved. "It is for the next year." His voice went colder. "Don't confuse time with ownership." Emma leaned in closer, voice soft like velvet. "Don't confuse ownership with control." Alexander stared at her like she'd slapped him without touching him. Emma turned slightly, angling herself so the cameras would catch it. Her hand on his arm, her face turned up toward his. A perfect image, a perfect lie. Alexander's eyes narrowed. "You're playing a dangerous game." Emma's smile was small. "So are you." The auction began. The room gathered. A host spoke into a microphone, praising generosity and legacy, and all the beautiful lies rich people used to decorate their power. Emma leaned toward Alexander, voice low. "Vanessa is making calls." Alexander's expression didn't change. "Let her." Emma's gaze sharpened. "She's trying to destroy me." Alexander's eyes slid to hers, cold and dismissive. "Then don't give her ammunition." Emma's fingers tightened on his sleeve. "You already did." The words hit harder than she intended. Alexander's jaw flexed. Then his voice lowered, dangerous. "Careful." Emma held his gaze. "I'm not the one who should be careful tonight." Alexander stared at her for a long moment. Then he turned his head slightly, eyes scanning the room. He found Vanessa. Vanessa stood across the ballroom, watching them with a faint smile, as if she'd already written the ending. Emma watched Alexander's gaze linger, not with longing, with calculation. And Emma realized something that made her blood turn colder. Alexander didn't just want to hurt Vanessa. He wanted to win in front of her. He needed witnesses. Emma was his witness. And now Vanessa was trying to turn those witnesses against Emma. The auction host announced the next item, an exclusive trip, a private island, a piece of art. Applause followed. Emma barely heard it. Her mind was building strategy. If Vanessa wanted to make Emma look like a mistake, Emma had to make herself look like a choice. Not a contract. Not a placeholder. A choice Alexander wanted. The band started another slow song. Couples moved toward the dance floor again. Emma looked at Alexander. "Dance with me," she said. Alexander's eyes narrowed. "We already did." Emma's smile was faint. "Not like this." Alexander studied her, suspicion tightening the air. Emma leaned closer. "If you want to win tonight," she whispered, "you'll give them something they can't dismiss." Alexander's jaw flexed. Then, without a word, he placed his hand at her waist and guided her to the dance floor. The room watched. Vanessa watched. Emma felt her heartbeat steady, like she was stepping into fire on purpose. Alexander's hand rested at her waist, firm. Emma placed her hand on his shoulder again, but this time she let her fingers linger. Not soft, intentional. Alexander's eyes locked onto hers. His voice dropped. "You're trying to force something." Emma's lips parted slightly. "I'm trying to survive." Alexander's gaze flicked, just for a second, to her mouth. Emma saw it, and she realized the most dangerous truth of the night. Alexander wasn't immune. He was just disciplined. Emma leaned in closer, voice warm. "Tell me, Alexander, does it bother you that she's watching you touch me?" His jaw tightened. "Stop," Emma's smile was subtle. Does it bother you that she's watching you not let go? Alexander's breath changed. The crack again. Emma felt it like heat. The music moved them slowly, bodies aligned. Alexander's hand slid slightly higher on her waist. Still proper, still respectable, but not necessary, not performative. Emma felt his control slipping in fractions. She whispered, "Look at her." Alexander's eyes flicked toward Vanessa. Vanessa's smile faded slightly. Not jealousy, surprise. Emma whispered again, "Now look at me." Alexander's gaze snapped back to Emma's, and for a second, the room disappeared. Emma felt the weight of his attention fully, like a spotlight finally turned toward her. Not through her, at her. It made her chest tighten, because it wasn't tender. It was intense, possessive. A man realizing something valuable is within reach. And men like Alexander didn't handle desire gently. Emma swallowed and held his gaze anyway. She whispered, "You can't stand that I'm not afraid of you." Alexander's voice was a low threat. "You should be." Emma's smile was faint and dangerous. "Make me." For one heartbeat, Alexander's expression shifted. Not anger. Something darker. Hunger mixed with control. Then his mask snapped back. He leaned closer, lips near her ear. "You're playing with fire." Emma's voice barely moved. "I know." The song ended again. Applause rose. But this time, the applause felt louder, like the room had felt something. Emma stepped back, breathing steady. Alexander didn't immediately let go. His hand stayed at her waist 1 second too long. Just long enough for Vanessa to see. Just long enough for the room to notice. Emma felt Vanessa's gaze like a blade. She didn't flinch. She turned away smoothly and walked toward the balcony. She needed air. Not because she was weak, because the night had become too real too fast. Outside, the city lights glittered below like 1,000 promises. Emma stood alone for a moment, gripping the balcony rail lightly, breathing in cold air. Then Marcus appeared beside her again, as silent as a shadow. "You did it," Marcus said quietly. Emma didn't look at him. "Did what?" Marcus's voice was low. "You shifted the room." Emma's throat tightened. "And what does that cost me?" Marcus hesitated. "It depends on how vindictive Vanessa is." Emma laughed softly, no humor. "She's Vanessa Hartford." Marcus nodded once. "She's already requested a private meeting with Alexander. Tomorrow morning." Emma's pulse kicked. "About what?" Marcus's eyes flicked away briefly, like he didn't want to say it out loud. "About ending this." Emma turned sharply. "She can't end it." Marcus's expression stayed calm, but his eyes were serious. "She can offer him something he wants more than revenge." Emma's stomach dropped. "What could he want more than revenge?" she whispered. Marcus looked at her, his gaze heavy. Control. Emma stared into the city lights, mind racing. If Vanessa offered Alexander a way to win without Emma, Alexander would choose the path that protected Alexander. And Emma's mother's treatment depended on this contract. Emma's hands clenched slightly around the balcony rail. Marcus's voice softened. "You're not a pawn anymore, Emma." Emma swallowed hard. "I still feel like one." Marcus hesitated. Then he said, very quietly, "Then don't let them move you." Emma turned to him, searching his face. "Why do you care?" Marcus's expression flickered. Something human beneath professionalism. "Because I've watched women like Vanessa destroy people for sport. And I've watched men like Alexander call it strategy." Emma's throat tightened. Marcus continued, voice low. "And I've never seen anyone make Alexander lose control the way you did tonight." Emma's stomach twisted. She didn't know if that was a compliment or a warning. The balcony door opened behind them. Emma felt it before she turned. Alexander stood in the doorway, suit immaculate, eyes darker than before. He wasn't smiling. He wasn't cold. He looked conflicted, dangerously so. Marcus immediately stepped back slightly, as if the air had changed. Emma faced Alexander, posture steady. Alexander's gaze moved over her slowly, like he was seeing her again. Not as a contract, not as a tool, as a problem, a temptation, a threat. His voice was quiet. You embarrassed me. Emma's eyes didn't blink. I saved you. Alexander's jaw tightened. You don't get to decide what I need. Emma's lips curved faintly. Then stop making your needs my prison. A long pause. Alexander stepped closer, stopping just inside the doorway. His voice dropped. What did Vanessa say to you in the ladies' room? Emma's pulse kicked. So you do care. Alexander's gaze sharpened. Answer the question. Emma held a stare. She said, by morning, everyone will know what I am. Alexander's expression didn't change, but his eyes darkened. Emma continued softly, and she's right unless you stop her. Alexander's voice was low, controlled. You're not helpless. Emma's smile was faint. No, I'm not. Then she stepped closer, just one step, close enough to make the air tense. And neither are you, she whispered. So choose. Alexander's jaw flexed. Choose what? He asked, voice rougher than before. Emma's eyes held his. Choose whether you want me as your weapon or your weakness. Silence. Then Alexander's eyes flicked to her mouth again. A crack. A dangerous one. He stepped closer, close enough that Emma could feel the heat of him. His voice was almost a whisper. Don't mistake attention for affection. Emma's breath stayed steady. Don't mistake affection for control. For a second, Alexander looked like he might kiss her. Not gentle, not soft, like a man claiming something he couldn't stand losing. Emma didn't move. She didn't run. She didn't lean in. She held her ground. Alexander stopped himself at the last possible moment, jaw clenched like it hurt. Then he turned sharply and walked away. The balcony door swung shut behind him. Emma stood frozen, heart pounding. Marcus's voice came softly from beside her. He's losing control. Emma swallowed hard, and that makes him dangerous. Marcus nodded. Yes. Emma stared at the city lights, her mind racing toward tomorrow, because Vanessa was going to make an offer. Alexander was going to choose, and Emma had to be ready for the moment she realized the worst truth of all. The more Alexander wanted her, the more he might destroy her to keep her. Emma whispered to herself, "Don't flinch." Tomorrow, the real war would begin, and no one was leaving untouched. Power is shifting, and the truth is about to explode. If you felt the tension, if you sense the danger behind every smile, then you're not ready to miss what comes next. Subscribe now so you don't miss the final reckoning. Turn on notifications, because part 3 drops without mercy. And if this story made your heart race, share it with someone who loves betrayal, revenge, and dangerous love. The contract was signed, the war has begun, and in the final episode, only one woman walks away untouched.